Vivian.
I'm Labika Rawood. For more information on the work that we do and how you can help us to help others, please visit our website www.secondchances.org.za.
In Junior Achievement South Africa, its focus is really to expose youngsters within high school and out of school to entrepreneurial thinking, and ours is focused at high school from grade 10 to 12.
I'm very big on youth empowerment and making a difference and touching lives and impacting the lives of our young people. That's practically what I do with my foundation as well, and ever since I was crowned as Miss SA.
The goal of the magazine is to basically share information that will be able to assist small business owners.
You're listening to The Social Show with Viwet Yolwana
And Labika Rawood, live on brandlive.co.za.
A very warm welcome to you. You're listening to The Social Show, and once again, we are going to give you a topic that is dopeness on another level. Like, I'm so excited about the show. So yeah, Viwe, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm doing very well. It's been a minute since we've actually spoken about what we're going to speak about, so I'm very excited. How are you feeling?
I'm great. I'm just getting super hot though, but I'll be good.
I'll
be good.
It's been raining for too long.
Yeah, but anyway, let's get into our news.
Conservation organization Wild Ark, together with guide training organization Eco Training, has acquired its first wildlife conservancy known as Pride Lands. Wild Ark is committed to securing parts of identified green belts around the world and is working with environmental scientists to restore, manage and protect the rich biodiversity of these areas as a way of conserving life. Now, at 4,500 acres, Pride Lands, a former hunting farm, presents an example of intact vegetation of the Combrichum woodland. This is a fantastic step for the organization and the first conservancy for African wildlife, says Wild Ark founder Mark Hutchinson. The partnership will, with their close colleagues at Eco Training, will help build ecology, sound restoration of habitat, open another 4,500 acres into a greater conservancy that includes state-owned, private and community areas, which allow freedom of wildlife movement and provide local job creation, says Wild Ark founder Mark Hutchinson.
The Young Bafana Soccer Academy has announced that they will continue this year to their lifelong commitment toward investing in the disadvantaged youth, and this year it will be even better. Now, the academy is aimed at changing the lives of disadvantaged South African children through addressing social ills related to poverty through their various programs. Now, from the ages of 5 until 19 years old, these children are molded and shaped into excelling in their soccer, educational and life skills, and they also participate in the youth development programs hosted by the academy. Now, the children live in township areas such as Khayelitsha, Gugulethu, Athlone and the Helderberg Basin, and are fetched every day from their schools and taken to the various locations where activities have been planned. The founder of the academy, Bernard Steinhager, said their education and soccer programs are designed to help individuals develop holistically, learn about the importance of teamwork, build confidence, excel in school, and keep active. Now, the academy, which was founded in 2010, has already over 100 children and are provided with nutritional meals at every training session. And Steinhager added that they hope each individual who graduates from the academy will be equipped with the essential tools and skills to help them become leaders who can make a positive contribution to society in general and in their communities in particular.
Addressing the taboo topic of menstruation in Zimbabwe, Genman African Safari's Grow Africa Foundation has partnered with Subs Pads in Project Penya. Now, the project provides girls at Dingan Primary School in Hwangwe with washable sanitary pads. 1 out of 10 teenage girls throughout Africa's most rural region misses a considerable amount of school each year, as much as 25% annually, due to the humiliation and the stigma related to menstruation, as they do not have access or cannot afford basics such as sanitary pads, and they are forced to improvise by using mattress foams, rags, feathers, leaves, and even newspapers, which is not only humiliating but ineffective, and their menstrual hygiene impacts these young girls' education help and their overall future. In a statement, Kaja says the shame associated with having a period is sometimes too much to bear for teenage girls, and so they skip schools. In extreme cases, girls have been known to drop out altogether, says Kaja Kwasdorf, CEO of German African Safaris. A girl's period should not hold her back from her future, and so they are getting involved to make an impact on the issue whilst joining the fight to break the taboo of menstruation in Africa.
SASL has once again partnered with the South African National Parks for the Sandparks Birding Weekends event this year. Now, the event is aimed at preserving the lives of endangered birds and attracts about 800 bird enthusiasts every year. Now, hosted by Sandparks Honorary Rangers West Rand Region, the event raises money for conservation, including counter-poaching activities. Now, over the past 10 years, the Sandparks Honorary Rangers West Rand Region has raised over 200 million rand, which has reportedly gone toward empowering local communities through project participation, game transfers, the removal of alien species, and increasingly counter-poaching activities. It has also been reported that most of the funding raised in 2016 has gone toward procuring additional ranger equipment, refurbishing the storage facilities for critical research samples at the Kruger National Park, veterinary costs, as well as equipment for the safe monitoring, tracking, and transportation of the animals. And this year's event will take place from the 27th January until the 12th of February at the Kruger National Park in Mpumalanga. And that's our news wrap up for the day.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastownmedia.co.za.
Welcome back to the social show with myself and Ulibika. Well, today we're talking about something that's a little bit really close to my heart and close to Libika's heart, I think. It's been a really, really sad week. Actually quite a sad year if you think about all the people that are kind of known that have passed away, from, Lundi to Sfiso to Mendoza to, Tandi Glass, and you've got so many really prolific people who have passed on this year. And it's so sad to actually add one more to the list, actually. And recently, on the 6th of February, rather, Joost van der Westhuizen, who's a well-known and loved rugby player, passed away from motor neuron disease, and the whole country is mourning right now. It's really, really sad. And we found it very important that we speak about motor neuron disease today, as I don't think enough research is being done about it. But before we get into it, let's just talk about what it is, because a lot of people don't know what it is. It's got very little research in South Africa. So motor neuron disease is the name given to a group of diseases in which the nerve cells controlling the muscles that enable us to move, speak, breathe, and swallow undergo degeneration and die. So the motor function is controlled by the upper motor neurons in the brain that descend to the spinal cord, and these neurons activate lower motor neurons, and the lower motor neurons exit the spinal cord and directly activate the muscles. Now, with no nerves to activate them, muscles gradually weaken and waste. MND can then affect a person's ability to walk, to speak, to swallow, and to breathe. It's also known as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is ALS in many parts of the world, and as Lou Gehrig disease in the USA. So basically what happens when you do have the disease is that you are unable to use your muscles in the way that you want to, even if your brain is saying, I want to clap my hands right now, your body just can't understand those messages. And that's what happened to the rugby player. And it's so sad because in South Africa, there's only about 300 people that have been really said to have motor neuron disease. But this can't be accurate because research hasn't been enough, as I've said before. And I'm sure there's a lot more people. It's just that a lot more people don't know perhaps what to call it. A lot of people don't know how to, don't even understand what it is. You know, being in the African country that we live in, I highly doubt a lot of people know what it is they have, if they do have motor neuron disease. So, yeah, Joost died from it, and we're going to be looking a little bit into why and how and how can we prevent this, and how many more foundations can get involved.
But you know what, Viwe, I saw there's been a lot of reports posing the question, could rugby have played a major effect or a major role in him having motor neuron disease? Because he's not the only rugby player who died from this disease. There's another guy, Tinus Linney, who died in 2014, also at the age of 45.
Wow.
And there's also a former New Zealand rugby fullback. His name was Jared Cunningham. He died in 2007. Sorry. And then there was also Ryan Walker and Danny Dalport, who was also... Danny Dalport was diagnosed, but Ryan Walker also died at the age of 35. So these are all rugby players, and they're saying, could this have caused, them getting motor neuron disease? Because the report also said that 10% of motor neuron disease is caused by genetics. The other 90% is caused by physical contact, like excessive contact, like rugby, for example, because it's a very aggressive sport. And there was also an American study that said people who participate in contact sports, which is rugby, during their school years can contract this motor neuron disease, and because this actually causes the deterioration of the brain function in later life. So we don't know if this is accurate. You know, we obviously
speculation at this point,
of course, but rugby is such an aggressive sport, you know, and sometimes we actually laugh about it because we say when a soccer player, when he's on the field and he doesn't even get kicked, but he's already on the ground. But a rugby player, his head can be bleeding, he'll still go back on the field and, you know, still try and win the game. So there's a lot of concussions that obviously occur while playing rugby, and when a player experiences a concussion, they obviously get sent back, and then they take several tests. But now there's another article I read that said some of these rugby players are taken back onto the field, right?
Regardless of the test.
Regardless, yes. And the tests are only 84% accurate. So if they said you're okay to go on the field and play, you probably aren't. And he said that obviously you're not in your right state of mind, and that causes you to have you basically sending someone on the field with brain damage.
That's horrible.
So there's a lot of things that people are saying, you know, is rugby the sport that people should be like, listen here, don't play it because, but
it's so important to look at that, because I think it's such important information, because rugby is such a big sport in South Africa.
Yes.
It is humongous, and there's so many boys who dream of being rugby players, and girls, I mean, who dream of being rugby players. But if we don't incorporate this kind of information into the system, we're going to have more and more US Van der Beestes and cases in the future, right? And also just reminds me of the movie Concussion with Will Smith, where he spoke about, well, it was actually just about this man, I just forgot his name, who actually proved that playing football is quite similar
to rugby,
yes. Except they actually have helmets, and they actually are, which makes it safer. But if they're having concussions, it's obvious that, you know, our rugby players are having worse. So anyway, the story goes on that, you know, the NFL, which is like the biggest sort of like the organization in charge, I guess, of football, didn't want the information to come out. They didn't support the investigation. They didn't support the research. And I think that makes sense then if you think about us having a country where rugby is big, but there's no research about motor neuron disease. Nobody wants to open that can, and it's very important that we do. And that's why I think Joost is so amazing, because he actually founded the very first foundation dedicated to motor neuron disease, which is called the Neuron Foundation, which was formed early 2011. Now, Joost, created a platform where he would allow companies to support the quality of life programs available within the organization. Now, the core objective of J9, which is what I love, is to improve the quality of life, to improve the way you do things on a daily. Because imagine not being able to speak, run, breathe properly, think, use your hands. You need some sort of program that's going to help you have a better sense of, because you're still alive, it's like you're dead. Just help you get on with it and get on with the day. And I think, that was his core mantra. And I think that's exactly what more foundations need to be looking at, and what a lot of sport NGOs need to be looking at all the backlash that comes with really intense sports like rugby.
Definitely, I agree with you completely. And it's just a sad thing, because there is no cure for motor neuron disease, and we obviously don't know how the accurate number of how many people in South Africa suffer from this disease, but it is a deadly disease, and there aren't a lot of organizations that work toward, improving the lives of people who are affected by this disease. I remember reading, US obviously started the J9 Foundation because there aren't a lot of awareness raised on this disease, and I just think that it's really sad, Viwe. It's really, really sad that anyone can get affected by this disease, and if there's not enough research done, if there's not enough NGOs in this space, what happens to you? What if you don't have the money to go to a doctor? What happens to you?
Exactly. And that's why I think the J9 Foundation really started the conversation. And I just hope it doesn't end there. I really hope that it starts rippling and getting more people interested and more people helping motor neuron. I mean, there's no cure. It's so scary to think of something and know that there's no way it can be helped. And the lovely thing about the J9 Foundation is that they also educate, the general public about motor neuron disease, and this is what they actually do, and the devastating effects it has to the patient and the family. Because remember, the family takes care of you. They don't know what to do. They don't have the skills. So it's very important that they know how to work with you so that you don't hurt yourself.
That's so cool.
They also educate and raise awareness among medical practitioners and nursing staff to enable them to make earlier and correct diagnosis and provide better emotional and physical care on initial diagnosis of a patient. Because sometimes it's just like, hey, you've got ALS, and that's as sensitive as they can get. And sometimes you really just need someone to tell you what it means. And what kind of which disease, how severe is it, and how can you prevent it from being worse, and all those kinds of things. So that's what I loved. And they contributed to the initiation of research into MND in South Africa. And as we've said before, there was nothing before US started it. There was no research at all. There was no foundation. If you had motor neuron disease, they told you had motor neuron disease at the clinic or the hospital, and that was it.
Imagine what he went through, because obviously when he just found out there was no J9 Foundation, what was going through his mind?
He had no idea. He had no concept of how are people with motor neuron disease and how do they carry on with their lives. Imagine. And at least, you think about HIV and AIDS, which also doesn't have a cure. And you think of other diseases, you think, okay, there's people living with it. There's people who are going through it. So I belong to a specific community and I don't feel alone. But with motor neuron disease, it can be very lonely. It can be very lonely. So I love that they're doing, but again, they wanted to contribute. They want to contribute to a better life, a better quality of life for people with motor neuron disease. How can we make it easier for you to breathe, to walk, to talk, to I mean, not everyone is Stephen Hawking and has a multi-billion rand wheelchair that talks for you and runs for you and sings for you. You know what I mean? So it's very important, and I'm very, very, very it warms my heart to know that, he left such a beautiful legacy. He left such an amazing legacy, one that wasn't there before, and he really broke a lot of records, not only in rugby but also in the history of motor neuron disease in South Africa.
Yeah, and I saw now the other day during the week, I was watching SuperSport, and SuperSport paid tribute to US van der Westhuizen, and they showed him speaking to another motor neuron disease sufferer, and this guy came in through. It was at some event, I don't even remember, but this guy came through in a wheelchair and that kind of thing, and US told him, listen here, from now onwards, we are going to pay for all your medical.
Did he say those words? Listen here.
Okay, in my I just added that just for effect.
I'm trying to imagine him saying, listen here.
Thanks, Viwe.
Okay.
But the beautiful thing is he told this guy, we are going to pay, the J9 Foundation is going to take care of your medical bills for the rest of your life. And this guy obviously couldn't respond physically, but you could just see like he was about to cry. He was so emotional. He was so happy. And that was really, really the beautiful thing of it all. And I remember in an interview he said when he first found out, I actually just remember now, when he first found out, he said he hid from his family. He hid from everyone. He just remained he said he was staying alone at the time, so he stayed indoors. He didn't want to speak to anyone, It's
exactly like the Stephen Hawking story.
Is
it?
it?
I hear you. But carry on, yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't want to speak to anyone because obviously he was like, what is going to happen to me? I'm going to die. I have kids and that kind of thing. But he said, you know what? I could choose to either let this disease take control and die, or I can fight back. And he did that through the J9 Foundation. And that's the beautiful thing. And I also remember in this interview with Kobus Visser, he said, Kobus asked him, how do you want to be remembered? And he said, I want to be remembered as the guy who cared for others.
Aww.
And that is such a beautiful way that we are all remembering him by, especially through the J9 Foundation. He's helped so many people. He's really, really raised awareness on motor neuron disease. And they've had a lot of fundraisers where people have either taken big walks just to raise awareness or raise funds for the foundation, but a lot of people have really stepped up and supported the foundation, and I just think that's the beautiful thing. US is definitely going to be remembered as a guy who cared for others, and that's something really beautiful about everything. Despite suffering for I think about 7 years, he has left a beautiful legacy and he's helped so many other people.
Definitely, and he cannot be forgotten for that. And if you want to join the conversation, please don't forget to go to our social mediums, which is social-tv.co.za. If you want to just get more stories. Labika, you have to do it because I'm really bad. Okay, wait. Social One TV for Twitter and social TV underscore
social TV underscore
CSI.
Oh yes, TV underscore CSI. There we go.
TV underscore CSI for our
Instagram.
There we go. So if you want to join the conversation, don't forget to let us know what you think. If you know anyone with motor neuron disease, and if you have story you'd like to tell about Joost and how he affected you, if he did.
Definitely. Please tell us also how will you remember Joost? Hashtag brand live, hashtag social show.
Definitely. And that's it from us. Till tomorrow.
The Social Show is the only show that gives you updated content on all things CSI.
The show will interrogate and report on the latest initiatives that are supported, developed and initiated by the public and private sector.
Hosted by myself, Viwe Cholwana,
and me, Labika Robert,
every week from 4 to 5 p.m. Hear it on brandlive.co.za.
See it on social-tv.co.za.
brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.